To start off, this is not my story. This is my mother's story. To give you some information you might want to know, I'm a 17-year-old girl and have recently moved in with my dad and his family. I lived with my mum my entire life until this past summer, due to the fact that life with my mum, it just wasn't easy, and ultimately it got dangerous. My mum had always gotten herself into rocky relationships that ended with a man being abusive, no matter how nice he was in the beginning. I myself had to grow up fast, being that I wanted to protect my mother, who I soon discovered didn't really want to be protected. So I decided to spend the rest of my high school years in another state with my dad, mainly because I wanted to experience not having to look after my drunk mother until the early hours of the morning to make sure that her boyfriend didn't beat her to death. My mum lives in a very small trailer. Not only is it small, but it's old, like over 50 years old. It's not in the best condition, and she also doesn't have the greatest furniture, but she did have nice decor that was handed down in her family, and some nice furniture that was given to us when we first moved into the trailer together. Also, the trailer has its kinks that were never really fixed due to the landlord being so cheap. For example, the door can easily be pulled open with force even if it's locked. All of this information becomes important later on. My mum also has her dog Simba to accompany her. Now, Simba isn't a normal house dog, he's a pit bull mix. Simba is really protective and the most loving dog a person could own. My mum got Simba for protection, and ultimately because she's very sick. My mother has Hodgkin's lymphoma, which, if you don't know, is a really aggressive cancer. She's not doing chemo or anything due to her personal reasons, but she does certain treatments to keep her going. Simba is there to keep her company and also protect her because she cannot protect herself easily, although she can put up a fight. Unfortunately though, Simba has bad separation anxiety. This causes him to chew anything, and I mean anything, around the house. Once, he swallowed a lighter, and we still don't know how or where. Anyways, this makes my mum have to lock him up in a kennel while she's out because he's ruined a lot of stuff that we can't replace. When I used to live with my mum, I stayed home a lot. Not that I didn't have any friends at school or anything, because surprisingly, I was actually pretty popular. But I just didn't really like partying or going anywhere unless it was out to eat with friends, the movies, or staying the night somewhere. So usually, on the weekends, I would stay home. I am not an only child. In fact, I have a half-brother named TJ, and he hasn't made the best life choices. My mum and we didn't really keep in contact with him due to his life choices, and also only using us for the little money that we had. My mum worked retail, and it wasn't always the best paying job out there. So whenever I lived with her, we would usually ignore his texts or calls because we didn't always have the money to hand over for him, which we ultimately knew would go to buying drugs and alcohol. Towards the end of 2015, however, my brother started getting into really hardcore drugs. I'm talking meth and cocaine, literally anything that he could get his hands on. Due to this, my mum began ignoring him even more. My mum had been out one night when my brother began calling her repetitively. She was actually out with her boyfriend at the time, meeting with some family members, so she didn't have her phone on her while doing so. While my mum was talking to her boyfriend, she realized that she had left her wallet at home. She didn't need it, but she liked to have it because an untrustworthy friend of hers still had a key to our house that she claimed to have lost. But my mum discovered her medication missing, to which she assumed her junkie friend was coming into our house and stealing. So she was obviously worried to have left all her cash and debit card at home. She heads out and goes back to her house. It's not too far out, and so she gets there in about half an hour. Before arriving, she sees TJ has called her multiple times, and she doesn't bother to call back due to not wanting to provide her newly discovered meth head son asking for money to buy more meth or any drug for that matter. Upon arrival, she realizes something's wrong immediately because the front door, it's ajar. This is where the funny lock comes into play because not only can it forcefully open without a key, but it still needs to be shut with force if still locked if you don't want it to bounce back open. So, knowing this, my mum remembered easily that she had slammed the door shut, leaving, and it wasn't open because we would always pull it to check. My mum already knows that whoever is in her house probably knows that she's there, unless they were in the back of the trailer due to her headlights pulling into the driveway. So she takes small precautions and steps into the house. Her dog is in his cage and immediately begins whimpering as he sees her. So she goes to let him out to protect her when she's grabbed from behind. At first, while struggling, my mum had no clue who was attacking her. I don't know everything that she went through, but she soon discovered that it was my brother. She was pushed into a table and she had to get back up. She began to fight back at my brother, who ran at her full force and then wrapped his hands around her neck. While he was choking her, Simba, he was going insane, to the point where he almost broke out, but he wasn't able to. She somehow got his hands off of her neck and was fighting more, but was thrown around the living room, causing holes in the walls, furniture breaking, and knickknacks breaking along with it. Once again, his hands found his way around her neck, and this time, she was helpless. My mum has really thin blood, and she cut her hand during the struggle, so she was bleeding insanely bad all over the place. Due to all the blood and also having cracked a few teeth, she was now in a lot of pain, even with all the adrenaline coursing through her. She looked at my brother in the eyes, and she could tell that he was on something. She didn't know what drug, but she began begging for her life. "William, please! I'm your mother!" she yelled helplessly at him. She said that she didn't know what happened, but the hate in his eyes flickered, and he let go. Looking around, he had looked at her one more time before bolting out of the front door. The neighbours had already called the police, who came and took a statement from my mother. My brother was then found later on, the next day, and he was arrested for possession of drug paraphernalia. He wasn't charged with the assault because my mum, she couldn't stand to press charges. But it turns out that he was looking for money and her medication, and was on a high dose of speed while looking for it. He had broken in thinking that she was gone for the night due to her car not being there. I can't help but think, what if I would have been there? I was always home on the weekends, and what if I was the one who had to fight my brother? To be honest, I don't think I would have made it out alive. I'm just thankful my mum did, not just because she's my mother, but I don't think I could have lived knowing that my own brother killed our mum. G'day mates, it's Busta here. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video guys. And you know, I felt really sorry for the dog in this story. I mean, I guess you could say maybe even a little sympathetic. Get it? Sympathetic? Thanks again to the Hive members that really shared their story for us all here. And I hope you're doing well. For the chance to have your story featured in a video, you can send your story to my email, which is in the description below. And as always, keep them coming guys, as this channel relies upon your stories to continue. Also, please do me a favor and just state in your email what your story is about in the description, and also provide me with a short written statement of consent, just so that I can be above board with everything. Please also remember to tell me in the email if you would like to remain anonymous, and change any names if you don't want particular names to be shared. As always guys, it would be awesome if you could like, share, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for updates throughout the week. You can also catch me on my second channel, all of which have links in the description below. Thanks again for always tuning in guys, for all the love and support, and I'll see you mates in the next one.